Okay, so this is the, hopefully again, we really do think we've got it now. So we're predicting the second fire sign, which is a mushroom cloud, some kind of attack on Manhattan above the Hudson, making a large mushroom cloud, which is either large conventional or small nuclear. We think it's not nuclear because the Great Tribulation doesn't yet begin until Adar 25. So we're predicting it for Shabbat 15, which is this Sabbath, this Friday, Saturday. So it's Friday, February the 4th, Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's Day massacre. So it's the February the 14th to February the 15th would be Friday, Saturday is what we're predicting it. For the New York mushroom cloud over the Hudson at Manhattan, and then the British one over the Thames round about Dartford we're predicting for the 21st, which is the day before the Sabbath. It's Thursday, Friday, February the 2021. Before we go into how we get to those dates, a few things. We've had to make quite a few adjustments to our chronology, and it's a hell of a lot better. We now have 616, Mark of the Beast, being the 16th day of the 6th month of the secular year, the Tishri 1 secular year. No more Laodicean years, because it's not to do with Laodicea, which is no longer a true church anyway. It's to do with Satan and the dragon. So it should be his calendar, which is the Tishri calendar. So 616 under the Tishri 1 calendar is Adar 16, because Adar is the 6th month of the Tishri 1 year. So Adar 16 is March 1617. So that's when the mark of the beast comes in, and you can't buy or sell anything without a UNID number that you're going to have to enter in with all this. All the reason that all the banks are doing all this two-step verification is in order to be able to enforce the mark of the beast when it comes in. It is not for your security, it is not even for their security. It is the desire of the demons to control everything, and they're going to do it through money and through the banks, and you won't be able to do any financial transaction unless you have not only your mobile number and your banking number, but a UNID number, and you'll have to enter that in to do anything. So that's what all this two-step verification is about, and that's going to come in on March the 16th, 17th, which is not so far away. It's just over a month. But the beautiful thing is that 1 Thessalonians 5:3, we really understand that now, says whenever they're saying peace and security, instant destruction will come upon them suddenly, just as a birth pain comes to a pregnant woman. Well, the birth pain comes to a pregnant woman in belly having after 9 months. And the sentence count of that scripture is 9 times. And if you count 9 months from Adar 16, you get Chislev 16. And that is the resurrection of the last Zoarite. So all her pregnancy is finished, and she finishes giving birth to Zoarites by resurrection non-Adamically. The Jubilee restoration of the last one of the Zoarites is completed on Chislev 16, 9 months after the mark of the beast. But it's better than that, because the end of World War III is Nisan 21, which is another occasion when we will declare peace and security. It will declare security probably with the Adar 16 one, the mark of the beast day, and peace with the end of World War III. 2 declarations, peace and security. And Nisan 21 is 9 months precisely before Tebeth 21, which is the resurrection of the non-Zoarites, because Adam is totally executed. 1 AC Adam dies, and the first death ends. Entry into the first death ends, and death is passed over. Death is passed over, and they're resurrected 7 days later on Tebeth 21, the end of the time of distress. And Tebeth 21 is precisely 9 months after Nisan 21, which is peace, declaration of peace at the end of World War III. The reason we think World War III ended on Nisan 21 wasn't from that scripture, it's from Haggai 2, which says, with respect to starting on Tebeth 21, 2019, it says, "Be strong, Zerubbabel, be strong, Joshua, and be strong, all the people of the land." When it says something like that, it stands for 3 times, which are 3 months, from Tebeth 21 to Nisan 21. Tebeth 21, 2019 to Nisan 21, 2020. And those 3 months you've got to be strong, because it's a period of crap with coronavirus, and then volcanic nonsense, and then fire signs, and then World War III, and then the Great Tribulation, which is the nuclear part of World War III. And all that will end on Nisan 21 when you don't have to be strong anymore. So that's why we thought peace would be, that's how we got the Nisan 21 date, but then it matched perfectly with 1 Thessalonians 5:3, which is really, really cute. Okay, now we're beginning the kingdom a month later on Elul 16, and Satan's 42 months of authority ends on Elul 14, 2020. The kingdom is appointed Elul 16, 2020, and it's installed Heshvan 5, 2020. So it's bumped forward a month. But here's the easy to understand and cute thing. We know that the Jubilee restoration of the Christians is in the Jubilee month of 2020 Tishri. The last Passover entry day into Zohar for them is Tishri 10. Their Passover executed Tishri 14. They're resurrected at first fruits, which is Tishri 20. That's their Jubilee restoration. But the seventh Sabbath of the Third Kingdom Jubilee is the month before, which is Elul. That is when all of mankind is released from having the dragon as their Caesar by the kingdom. The dragon's authority ends, as I said, Elul 14, and the kingdom begins Elul 16. And that should be in the Sabbath. I was an idiot not to have it in the Sabbath. It should be in the Sabbath month. And now it is. The seventh Sabbath of the Third Kingdom Jubilee of the kingdom from 2008 ER1 onwards. 2008 Nisan 14 was the end of the ARC lease. The Sabbath began after that, and the first whole month of the 1,000-year Sabbath is 2008 ER1 to 30. And then the 150th month is 2020 Tishri. 149th is 2020 Elul. That's the seventh Sabbath of the Third Kingdom Jubilee. And during that Sabbath, we get Abraham, shall we say, and Adam are released from having Satan as Caesar. They still have Satan as Caesar, but he has no authority to be Caesar. So Jesus is able to screw him up, which he will do not immediately, but it takes him a few months, but he does it. And the Sabbath before then is the Sabbath we're now in, the monthly Sabbath of Shabbat, which is the sixth Sabbath of the Third Kingdom Jubilee, which is the 142nd month of the kingdom. And during that Sabbath, the saints are released from Caesar. So the saints are released from Caesar this Sabbath, and then Abraham and Adam are released from Caesar by the kingdom the next Sabbath. But the way the saints are released is they're taken out of this system and put into the ark. So we have to go into the ark this Sabbath, which is really cute. So this is how we get to Shabbat 15, several ways. The easiest one is the 4 Sabbaths of monosynagogue teaching. Jesus was teaching in one of the synagogues in the Sabbaths. One of the synagogues, Greek plural synagogues, stands for 2 times, and in the Sabbaths is another 2 times, and 2 times 2 is 4. So basically he's teaching for 4 Sabbaths in one of the synagogues, i.e. after Laodicea became a false church, so that there was only one true church for him to teach in. 4 Sabbaths after they fall, and they fall on Tebeth 22, and the 4 weekly Sabbaths after that are Tebeth 24, Shabbat 1, Shabbat 8, Shabbat 15. So the 4th weekly Sabbath after the fall of Laodicea is Shabbat 15. So that's the first way we got it. We thought perhaps you would count the monthly Sabbath as a Sabbath in which he was teaching too, but evidently you don't. So Shabbat 15. Another way of seeing it is MENE MENE TEKEL and PARSIN. Laodicea was installed on Elul 5. You then count MENE MENE TEKEL, which is 50-50 plus 1. That takes you inclusively to Chislev 15 when they are judged, which means they lose their constant feature, which means their worship is rejected. They don't become a false church. That happens after they're judged. They become a false church when Solomon sent them away in 1 Kings 8 on the 8th day of the festival, which is the last festival they hold, which is late third watchtower cakes booths, and the 8th day of that festival is Tebeth 22. That's when they became a false church. Alright, but you're counting from Tekel, you then count the Parsins after Tekel. Tekel is the judgment, which was Chislev 15, 2019. Parsins are half months. So it's an integral number of half months after Chislev 15. And 4 half months takes you to Shabbat 15. It could have been Tebeth 30, but since the release should occur in the Sabbath, then the 2 real candidates will be Shabbat 15 or Shabbat 30. And Shabbat 30 is no good because you may get released, divided then, but then there's no time in the Sabbath to do anything. So I suppose from that it's fairly obvious it has to be Shabbat 15 in order that there's enough time in the Sabbath to do something. Furthermore, we've got to inaugurate Solomon's Temple during booths between the 15th and the 21st, 22nd, and so we need Laodicea to be divided to achieve that. And furthermore, it was in booths that God caused Israel to dwell in his bringing them out of the land of Egypt. Bring that forward to today. It means we escape from the world, the new Egypt. The saints escape from having Satan as Caesar. They escape from Pharaoh, Satan as Pharaoh I should say, during booths. So in other words, we go into the ark, which is how we escape during this Sabbath month, as I said. We get out of Caesar's control in this Sabbath, and the saints do, and then the Abraham and Adam get out when the kingdom's installed in the next Sabbath, in Elul 2020. And so we get out into the ark during booths, and booths begins on Shabbat 15, late booths or something. That's another reason why Laodicea has to be divided by Shabbat 15. And here's another reason. This is probably the simplest of the lot, actually. The beast of Revelation 13 has 7 heads, the one that comes out of the sea. And one of the 7 heads received death stroke. That's a witness to 7 times precisely. 1 out of 7 heads means 7 months. And the end of the authority of that beast, the end of the headship of that beast is Elul 14, 2020, and then the kingdom's installed on Elul 16. So the 7 months prior to that would be Shabbat 14 or 15 if you go inclusively, precisely. And so it must be the second fire sign that's a death stroke to the American head, because this beast in Revelation 13 has no body parts of an eagle. It's got lion body parts, bear body parts, leopard body parts, but it does not have any eagle body parts. Now this doesn't mean America gets killed. It means America steps away from the beast. It means Trump decides he's not a globalist, he doesn't want to be part of this, and America does what America should do and always has done, being an independent nation state, not part of a ghastly globalist Nazi regime wanting to control everybody so that they can actually prevent the kingdom, is what's going on. So that's what this is all about. So the result of the second fire sign, if I'm not mistaken, and I usually am, is that Trump will pull the US away from this fourth beast, and God bless him if he does. But right, the next one is there's a sentence count of Exodus 14, you know, the account of the pillar of cloud that goes from ahead of them to behind them, and that sentence count, it's in Understanding 271-11.html, and that takes you from Elul 5 when Moses lifts up his rod, the Moses of Laodicea, the administration of Laodicea lifts up his rod, to Shabbat 15, so that tells you that's when the second fire sign is. And then there's a simpler sentence count in Revelation 6:1 and 2. Revelation 6:1 counts to 16 times, Revelation 6:2 counts to 7 times, add them up 23 times. They start when the horse becomes white and starts his ride, which is Sabbath 21 actually, when we become white at that Pentecost, the third 2NC Pentecost, which is the only Pentecost between the end of the Tetramenos of John 4, when Jesus says, raise your eyes for the fields are white for harvesting, and the second fire sign, by which time we've all got to be sealed, because Satan's not allowed to do a fire sign until all the saints are sealed, according to Revelation 7. So the only Pentecost between those two, and Pentecost is a first ripe fruits or sealing festival. Ripe fruits is a sealed Christian. The only one is Tebet 21. So the horse becomes white on Tebet 21, starts riding on Tebet 22, when we got the first correct prediction extension. We didn't get the correct fire sign predictions, but we extended it to Shabbat 16, and we now have a second fire sign on Shabbat 15, so that prediction extension was correct for the second fire sign. All the way up to Shabbat 15, when I finish the ride by going into the ark, basically. And we see the fire sign from the ark, because Elijah says to his attendant, go up, look in the direction of the sea. Those are instructions for somebody to actually look for a fire sign. He didn't say go up, look at the TV. You know, he said go up, look in the direction of the sea. So you've got to be in a position to actually see a mushroom cloud. It's not going to be easy when you're not in New York and you've got to see a mushroom cloud in New York. The only way you can do that is with a kind of satellite vision that you'll get from an ark. So he's got to go up into the ark in order for those directions to make any sense from Elijah. That's the tuft of hair rapture, actually, of Ezekiel 8. That's also sentence counts to Shabbat 15. Alright, so that's Shabbat 15. Shabbat 21 is the Pentecost. It's the fourth 2NC Pentecost. And 1 Kings 18 is Pentecostal. And 2 Kings 1 insists that the second 50 and the chief 50 are consumed by fire. And so if we're going to consume a part of the 50, it's got to be 2NC 50 really for this church. Shabbat 15 is the 44th day of it. So the Pentecost, the chief must also be consumed, and that would be Shabbat 21. So what we're actually predicting is rather beautiful. We're having a fire sign on the first day of booths, of fourth booths actually, or fifth booths, wasn't it? Or if you want to call it late third Watchtower Cakes booths, but it isn't that. It's just a late booths. The booths that occurs in the Sabbath month. So you get a fire sign on the first day of it and a fire sign on the last day of it, Shabbat 21. And so that is what Paul's talking about, where he says we should be called away in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. The clouds are these two fire signs. The tuft of hair is raptured up and called away for the second fire sign, and the two NCs are actually raptured from the 16th to the 22nd in order that they all celebrate booths. Those are the 8 days of 2 Chronicles 29 of sanctifying the house of Jehovah. So there we are. So that's why we're going for this Friday, Saturday coming, February 14, 15, Friday, Saturday, this Sabbath coming, Valentine's Day or the day after, for the New York fire sign above the Hudson. And then we're going for Thursday, Friday next week, which is February 2021, which is Shabbat 21, for the fire sign above the Thames round about Dartford, the UK fire sign. Thank you.